ULA Ferndale currently. The transit study focused on the greatest, basically bang for the buck, if you will. There's a lot more people who are going from Nassau to Duval primarily for a work trip. And so the express bus is an attempt to capture that peak hour work trip, which is only going to be more acute as people start to fill up Nassau. Right now our population is relatively very low for an MSA this size, so our population is going to increase substantially, and those express buses are really going to fill in the gap for all those people who are going to be living up here and working in Duval.
It was, I thought, a very impressive study and well done. I think it's all about implementation now. And what do we do? Who runs it? Who maintains it? And where we go from here. But I think long term, it's all about ridership and how do we get people out of the cars. That's going to be a key. How do you get them to utilize it? But Peter, can we send a copy of that maybe to Dr. Rose and by down and get it to the board members and maybe have a copy of that and see?
Absolutely. It's on our website, and I can send the link just so they can download it as a PDF.
That'd be great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yes. While we're talking about that, it made me think about the Radio Road project. So we have an understanding, and Scott, you may want to come back up and share with us some ideas, because one of the things is that, as Ms. Cook mentioned, the time she had to wait for Payroll 200 at 5 times well. So if you could imagine, put 100 cars on Radio Road and South 17 a day. There's not going to be a traffic light at Radio Road and South 17. There's going to be no additional turning lanes from DOT. You talk about a turnaround, that's going to be a stop sign. Isn't that right, Scott? Was there no plan from DOT to put a traffic light there at this time?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Kelly, there are no plans to do a traffic signal at this point in time, but the Department of Transportation did install a southbound left turn lane there as part of the improvements when they did the resurfacing and some other minor improvements on 17 in that area. But that's the extent of what's been done to date out there.
Okay, I just didn't want to mislead people to think that the Radio Road was going to be the answer to all of our woes, because in a nice way, we're kind of kicking the can down the road, but just in a different direction, because we're going to have quite a traffic problem there at Radio Road and 17 when this section of Radio Road is finished. And I've been out there on Minor Road. You're absolutely right. We've got quite a traffic problem. If you run it from high school up Radio Road and you get to 17, I can only imagine what it would be like if you had 30 cars in a row getting ready to turn either north or south on 200, and what type of potential traffic accident that may cause. You know, getting after school traffic or early traffic. So I just didn't want us to leave this meeting thinking that that was the answer to all of our traffic woes as far as the Minor Road problem. I think we all share the concerns, and we want to make sure that whatever we agree to and do give us some long-term solutions. I just want to bring that up. Appreciate that, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. I think you bring up a good point. I think it also could play into maybe provide a catalyst to maybe continue to, at least the preliminary studies of 4-lane 17 south into Duval County. So we may be able to advance that somehow with just may create that catalyst. I don't know. Yeah.
And a big part of it was that all of the traffic would not be turning to go on 17, because there are a lot of neighborhoods back in there that once you turn, they would be going into the neighborhoods, not going on 17. I mean, right now they're going down A1A, turning on 17 to get to their neighborhoods.
I was also thinking about that same area that you're talking about right there, 200 Minor Road. And when the road construction gets to that point, what kind of congestion we're going to experience for the next 18 months will be, I don't even Thank you, sir.
Try to be patient.
Be real patient. All right, thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
thanks. Any other discussion?
If I could, I know what Commissioner Kelly was talking about, we discussed many years ago about the solution to that, to connecting out to 17 from Yulee Middle School, Yulee High School, Radio Avenue Extension would require at some point, and probably that was back a few years ago, now certainly would require a traffic signal there at 17 and Radio Avenue. There's no question about that. But anything that we could work on that would help disperse that traffic would help. I think all the roadways, leading to the school, from the school, and 18200, you'll feel a little bit more on 17. But I think there are some other routes that some of the students certainly would go other than 17. But let me just mention one other thing too, is that as the Yulee area grows and our schools grow, we're looking at probably expanding or having the ability or the capability of expanding Yulee Middle School by another 300 plus students, and expanding Yulee High School by another 300 plus students. And I don't know, can't tell you when that's going to happen, but and it's going to be more than that, because in our facility survey, facilities list, I'll call it optimum number of students for high school is 1,500. We're about 1,200, actually over 1,200, maybe closer to 1,300 at Yulee High right now. For middle schools, it's 1,200. We're at 900 or so at Yulee Middle School. The other thing too is to get a recommendation to build a new school. You're always going to be over that capacity that you designate. Just like when Fernley Beach High School. Fernley Beach High School had somewhere between 1,800 and 1,900 students before we got a recommendation to build a high school in Yulee. So what that means is we're going to have an additional probably 300 students above what we established our optimum capacity before we get a recommendation to build a new school. And the practical way to look at that is what we were talking about relocatable. When you see about 25 new relocatable classrooms on those sites, that's probably when we'll get a recommendation to build a school. So it's gonna get much worse unless we try to find some solution. And certainly, I would just ask the board, and I know you will be, and your staff to be mindful of that. We share every year. We send a copy of our work plan, our annual. We update our 5-year work plan annually. Then every year we have another 5-year survey done. Doesn't mean anything can't change between the 5 years, because we can have spot surveys in there as needed. But as we move forward, I would ask that when we send those, we're required by law to send those to the county commission and to the municipalities. Take a look at that. Maybe our staff need to meet, our facility staff and board county commissioner staff need to meet, in order to review those plans on an annual basis.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Okay, for sake of time, I know we've got a presentation by Dan Camp on the lawn light that we have tab E. We also have a planning and zoning meeting starts at 7, so hopefully we can do it fairly quickly. Tab E, discuss uses of the old school facility on US 17. I know we had some discussion about this the other night, Commissioner Kelly.
Yeah, this was a discussion that we had when I was chairman of the sheriff's admin building, and in fact, I met with school board staff, and I think Dr. Lewis met once or twice, and we were looking at the feasibility, just the basic idea of utilizing the school building in Yulee, which now I think you would say is really underutilized. And at that time, we were talking about putting money into it and basically refurbishing it to use as a sheriff's admin building for a 10-year period of time until we accumulated enough money to do what we're doing now. We changed directions, and it's gonna work out for us, and the sheriff's department is being built, the sheriff's building is being built now. That building is still there, and it's still being underutilized, and I think people would tell you that the longer it's vacant like that, the worse shape it gets in. And the whole intro here is to let you know that Council on Aging came to us 3 or 4 months ago and asked for another extension for them and their capital improvement project to raise funds to build a brand new facility on the property of the old hospital on the 14th Street. I can't remember for the life of me the amount of money they're trying to raise. I can just tell you that they've had a real rough go of it in the first 5 years because of the recession, downturn in the economy. And my thought was to see if there was any interest from the school board's part to possibly look into making that available to them, once again, not forever, but for the next 10 years, because once again, you're talking about getting Council on Aging more centrally located in the county, the center, and you're also talking about getting it off of the barrier island. You know, I applaud them for trying to build a brand new facility on North 14th Street. But once again, that storm of all storms we don't want to talk about. You talk about evacuating a bunch of senior citizens and getting off the island. This is just to me, a good, sound, viable option that we could make available to us. I know that they were talking at one time that the school board might be looking at the possibility of moving your main operation off the hill on the Atlantic out to a more central location. And that might be 10 or 12 years from now, I don't know. But once again, the building could be refurbished for current use right now, and if it was refurbished with the thought in mind that you folks still own it, and eventually you may want to reoccupy it.